Since I was a child, I was always compared to others. My parents, teachers, relatives, and even neighbors would look at me and say, "Why aren't you like your cousin? He is so smart." Or, "Look at your friend. She is more talented than you." It didn't matter what I did. It always felt like I was not good enough. At first, I didn't understand why people always compared me. I was just a child trying my best. But as I grew older, I realized that no matter how much effort I put in, people would always find someone better than me. If I got good grades, they would say, "But your cousin got a higher score." If I did well in sports, they would say, "But your friend is faster." I started feeling like nothing I did was ever enough. I remember coming home from school one day feeling proud because I got a high score on my test. I ran to show my parents, hoping they would be happy. But instead of praising me, they asked, "Did anyone in your class get a higher score?" I felt my excitement fade. Instead of celebrating my success, they made me feel like it didn't matter. I started to believe that I wasn't special, that I was just average. At school, I worked hard, but no matter how much I studied, there were always students who did better. Instead of encouraging me, people reminded me of my failures. They would say, "Why didn't you get first place?" Or, "You need to try harder." Their words hurt, and I started to believe them. Maybe they were right. Maybe I wasn't smart enough or talented enough. It wasn't just about school. In everyday life, I felt like people looked down on me. When I spoke, some people ignored me. When I tried to join a conversation, they talked over me as if I wasn't there. When I tried something new, they would say, "You're not good enough," or "You won't succeed." I remember trying to play basketball once, but someone laughed and said, "You're too slow. Just give up." Even when I wanted to sing, someone told me, "Your voice isn't good." These words stayed in my heart, and I started to lose confidence. Over time, I became afraid to speak up, afraid to try new things, and afraid to make mistakes. Even when I had good ideas, I kept them to myself because I thought no one would listen. No matter how much I wanted to be accepted, it felt like I didn't belong. I often asked myself, "Why am I not good enough? Why can't people accept me for who I am?" I wished that just once someone would tell me, "You're doing great. Keep going." But instead, I only heard more comparisons and criticism. I started avoiding situations where I could be compared to others. If there was a competition, I didn't join. If there was a group project, I let others take the lead because I was afraid of being judged. I didn't want to give people another reason to compare me to others. Even in my own family, I felt invisible. During family gatherings, my relatives talked about my cousin's achievements and my siblings' success, but they rarely mentioned me. It was as if I didn't exist. I sat quietly listening to their proud stories about others, but never about me. I started to wonder, am I really that unimportant? At school, I stopped raising my hand in class even when I knew the answer. I didn't want to risk saying something wrong. I stopped joining school activities because I didn't want to be the worst one there. I pretended not to care, but deep down I did. For a long time, I struggled with these feelings. I felt stuck, like I could never be the best, so what was the point of trying? I told myself that I didn't care about people's opinions, but the truth was, I did. But as I grew older, I started to think differently. I realized that the problem wasn't me, it was the way people treated me. The way people compared me wasn't a reflection of my worth. It was simply their way of thinking, and I didn't have to let it define me. One day I thought, why should I let other people decide my worth? Why should I live my life trying to please them? I decided that I didn't want to spend my whole life feeling like I wasn't enough. I wanted to live for myself, not for others. I started changing my mindset. Instead of feeling bad when people compared me, I focused on my own progress. I told myself that I didn't have to be the best. I just had to do my best. Instead of listening to negative words, I started believing in myself. It wasn't easy. Some days I still felt like I wasn't good enough. But slowly I became stronger. I started working hard not to prove anything to others, but to prove to myself that I was capable. I started learning new skills, setting my own goals and working towards them. I learned that everyone has their own journey and comparing myself to others was useless. The only person I needed to compete with was myself. I realized that success is not about being better than others. It is about becoming better than I was yesterday. I also learned to accept myself. I stopped looking for approval from others. I realized that I didn't need their validation to be happy. Instead of waiting for people to tell me I was good enough, I told myself, I am enough just as I am. Now, I no longer care about other people's expectations. I don't try to be like anyone else, I just try to be me. And that is enough. I have learned that life is not about being the best in other people's eyes. Life is about growing, learning, and being happy with who you are. No one else can decide my worth, I decide it for myself. Instead of comparing myself to others, I compare myself to who I was yesterday. I ask myself, am I a little stronger today than I was before? If the answer is yes, then that is enough for me. I also learned that happiness doesn't come from being the best. Happiness comes from doing what you love, from improving yourself, and from surrounding yourself with people who support you. I started spending time with people who encouraged me instead of those who put me down. I found friends who accepted me for who I was, and that made all the difference. I stopped chasing perfection. I no longer care if someone is smarter, more talented, or more successful than me. I focus on my own journey, and that makes me happy. Because in the end, happiness comes from within, not from the approval of others. And I choose to believe that I am enough just the way I am. The story is over. Please support us by subscribing and liking to follow our channel. I hope you learned something new today. See you next time. Thanks for watching.